black players. From 1934 to 1945, there was an almost 12-year ban on African American players in the NFL. It was an unofficial and unwritten agreement among team owners. The ban was largely pushed by Boston Redskins owner George Preston Marshall, who was an outspoken segregationist. Some believe financial and social pressures during the Great Depression also played a role. The ban ended in 1946 when the Los Angeles Rams signed Kenny Washington and Woody Strode after being forced to integrate as part of their lease agreement for the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. Finally breaking the color barrier. Personal messages. The NFL enforces a rule that prohibits players from displaying personal messages during game days. This policy applies whenever players are visible to fans or the television audience, such as during pre-game warm-ups, on the sidelines, and in post-game interviews. And if they do not apply, they will be fined. Non-sponsored brand items. The NFL enforces strict guidelines prohibiting players from wearing or displaying gear that advertises products or companies not officially designated as league sponsors. This ensures a consistent and professional appearance across all teams and prevents ambush marketing tactics. There have already been many players fined for breaking this rule. For example, in 2014, 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick, who was fined $10,000 for wearing Beats headphones during a post-game press conference, as Bose was the NFL's official headphone sponsor at the time. Shorts. The NFL mandates that players' pants must cover the entire knee area, prohibiting them from being shortened or altered. Additionally, game socks must cover the entire area from the shoe to the bottom of the pants and must meet the pants below the knee. The NFL's rulebook doesn't provide much reasoning for its strict regulations, but safety is likely a factor, as leg coverings can help keep padding in place. Custom face masks. In 2014, the NFL banned custom or non-standard face masks to enhance player safety. Research indicated that these face masks, characterized by additional bars and extended coverage, often failed safety tests and compromised helmet integrity, as the increased weight could lead to neck fatigue and a false sense of security during play. Stickum. In 1981, the NFL banned the use of stickum, a sticky adhesive substance that players applied to their hands and uniforms to enhance their grip on the football. The ban became known as the Lester-Hayes Rule, after the Oakland Raiders defensive back who was notorious for his extensive use of stickum. Despite the ban, some players continued to use stickum illegally. Notably, Hall of Fame wide receiver Jerry Rice admitted to using the substance throughout his career, stating that it was a common practice among players of his era. The stickum ban led to the development of grip-enhancing gloves, which provided players with a legal alternative to stickum. Tinted visors. In 1998, the league banned tinted visors, primarily to ensure medical staff could assess players' eyes without removing their helmets during injuries. Players needing tinted visors for medical reasons, such as light sensitivity, could apply for exceptions. However, in 2019, following a partnership with Oakley, the NFL started to permit players without medical reasons to also wear lightly tinted visors with a pinkish hue. Custom cleats. The NFL's strict uniform guidelines require players to wear cleats that are black, white, or match their team's official colors. There have been multiple players fined for violating this policy. For example, Houston Texans wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins, who was fined $6,076 for wearing custom Yeezy cleats in 2016. Or Chicago Bears wide receiver Brandon Marshall, who was fined $10,500 for wearing bright green cleats during a game to support Mental Health Awareness Week in 2013. However, the league makes an exception for its My Cause My Cleats initiative, an annual program during weeks 13 and 14 that allows players to wear custom-designed cleats to support causes important to them. Bandanas. In 2001, the NFL implemented a rule prohibiting players from wearing bandanas, do-rags, or similar headwear under their helmets. According to the NFL's Game Operations Manual, a player's appearance on the field conveys a message regarding the image of the league and directly affects the league's reputation and success. Other headgear like caps, skull caps, and bands are allowed, though. Hard objects. Players are prohibited from wearing or carrying any sort of hard objects during games to ensure safety. For example, in 2019, wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. was instructed not to wear a luxury watch during games because it was considered a hard object. If a player needs to wear a hard object, such as a cast or brace due to injury, the NFL requires that it must be covered with at least 3/8 of an inch thick foam rubber or a similar soft material. Hoodies. In 2016, the NFL updated its rules to prohibit players from wearing hooded sweatshirts under their jerseys. This decision was influenced by instances like Packers wide receiver James Jones wearing a hoodie under his jersey in 2015, which sometimes obscured his nameplate. The league's primary concern was that the hood could block the visibility of the player's name, and potentially the top of the numbers, leading to uniform violations and identification issues. Color Rush uniforms. The NFL's Color Rush uniforms, introduced in 2015, featured teams wearing vibrant, monochromatic outfits during select Thursday night football games. While aiming to enhance viewer experience, the initiative faced criticism from colorblind fans who struggled to distinguish between teams in certain matchups. In response, the NFL discontinued the mandatory use of Color Rush uniforms starting with the 2018 season, allowing teams to choose whether to wear them as alternates. Electronic devices. The NFL prohibits players, coaches, and team staff from using unauthorized electronic devices capable of sending messages during games. This includes items like cell phones, smartwatches, laptops, and tablets that are not issued by the league. The policy is designed to prevent any potential competitive advantages that could arise from real-time communication, such as sharing strategic information or injury updates. The ban is enforced from kickoff and applies to areas including the bench, locker rooms, and coaches' booths. Violations of this policy have led to fines. For instance, during the 2022 season, when 12 teams and 3 players were fined for unauthorized use of these electronic devices on the sidelines. Celebrations. Over the years, the NFL has enforced different rules to maintain sportsmanship and the flow of the game by prohibiting certain types of player celebrations. First of all, players cannot throw punches, kicks, or forearms at opponents. They can also not use abusive, threatening, or insulting language or gestures toward players, coaches, officials, or league representatives, and can also not engage in taunting that causes hostility between teams. Violent or sexually suggestive gestures are also prohibited, along with any unnecessary physical contact with officials. Then also, prolonged or excessive celebrations are restricted, and at last, using props or foreign objects on the field or sideline is also not allowed. This last rule came after a 2013 NFL game between the New Orleans Saints and the Atlanta Falcons. Saints tight end Jimmy Graham celebrated a touchdown by dunking the football over the goalpost, which was a nod to his basketball background. This action caused the goalpost to tilt, leading to a game delay of about 20 minutes as the stadium crew worked to realign it. Crowd noise. In 1989, NFL team owners voted 21-7 to implement a rule penalizing home teams if excessive crowd noise disrupted visiting teams' play calling. If the noise persisted, the home team could be charged with a timeout or even penalized 5 yards for delay of game. This enforcement faced criticism for being subjective and difficult to manage, as it required referees to judge acceptable noise levels and control fan behavior. Due to these challenges and the rule's unpopularity, the NFL eventually eliminated the crowd noise rule in 2007. Check out this other video I made as well.